If you are ambitious but not sure what to do, I want to share 6 principles, really just actions that have helped me get to where I want. These are the same 6 things that allowed me to go from having only $1,000 to my name and sleeping on a gym floor to now having a portfolio of companies that last year did north of 250 million a year. And the reason I am making this video is because I am on a mission to get the next generation of men and women to make their first $100,000. There is a lot of reasons for that, but I think that if you can participate in the economy, you will believe in capitalism. And I think that will set up the next generation for much bigger and better things. So let us just start with principle number 1, which is build capacity. And so what to do when you are not sure what to do is you build capacity. So for example, if you do not know what you are going to do tomorrow, you should go to bed on time today when you are not sure what you are going to do. Still, it might as well be rested. That is building capacity. You can get in shape when you do not have dates lined up, like you do not have one lined up, but it can help you when the opportunity strikes. You can save money when you are not sure where you are going to invest, because at least you will have the money so that when the investment comes, you will have the opportunity to take action. It is just the thing about opportunities is that they present themselves to everyone, and only people with capacity can both recognize and capitalize on them. So do not be in the bleachers when the fat pitch comes. You want to be at the plate? You want to have already practiced your swing and you want to be ready to go. And I will give you a case study that actually can drive this point home. So there was a study they did at Princeton grad school. It was called like the Good Samaritan study, where they had seminary students who saw themselves as moral people, right? They were studying to become priests, and they asked them to write a paper on being a good Samaritan and then to present it. All right, and so what was interesting about this is that in the study, they separated them into 3 groups. And so on the way to give the presentation, there was this very narrow hallway into the auditorium. And in the narrow hallway, they put someone who had fallen and clearly needed help. Group 1 was people who were 10 minutes late. Group 2 was people who were on time, and group 3 was people who were early. All right, now guess what? Correlation, how people rated themselves in their essay had to do with the likelihood that they would stop and help the person. You are right. Absolutely 0. All right, what did have the highest correlation with the likelihood that they stopped and helped the person how late they were? And let me tell you how big of a difference it was. The difference between the people who were 10 minutes early and 10 minutes late was a 6 times difference in who stopped to actually help the person. And the reason I see this is so important is that right now there are opportunities that come to you right now that you cannot even recognize because you do not have capacity to do anything about it. And so here are some of the ways that I recommend building capacity. Starting with number 2, money. So if you do not know what to invest in, save money. Money buys time and time buys optionality. And so let us go tactical. So how do I go about actually saving money? So I am going to walk through each category very quickly. So food, that means you just do not eat out for anything. It is very straightforward. If you are hungry, you deal with it, right? You only buy from discount grocery stores. It is not that hard. Clothing, whatever you have right now is all you need for the next 2 years. 0 exceptions, right? Reuse what you have, trade, or at the very worst, you can go to Goodwill. All right, from a housing perspective, live as cheaply as you can, ideally with your own family, or worst case with another family that is also trying to save money. And if you are like younger and you are like none of us have families, then that is fine. Then all 6 of you bunk up in one place, split bedrooms if you have to. And that is what ultimately in the early part of my career, it was like $300 or $400 a month for me to just keep the lights on. Not hard when you are splitting 1 bedroom in a 6-bedroom house. Now, all of this stuff, we have the last cost, which is time cost. So think about your time like a financial asset. Stop doom scrolling and wasting the 2 to 4 hour window you have outside of work. So your 5 to 9 a.m. and then your 5 p.m. to 9 p.m., those 8 hours a day, those are the hours where you are going to have to get ahead because you have to basically live for today to pay for today, but you have to plan and prepare for tomorrow, which is what those other 8 hours are for. Number 3 on this stack here is add skills and practice them. The second part is just as important as the first. So now you have got some money, right? It should be saved up. Where do you spend that money? So I recommend spending all excess cash on acquiring skills until you have so much that you cannot possibly spend on any more skills. So increase your capacity to earn, which increases the value of your highest cash producing asset. That is you, right? And what is relevant to today is that skills are inflation proof. Whether we are trading in Bitcoin or seashells in the future, if you have got value to give, people will exchange for it. So if you are ever worried about all this technology, what am I going to do? The only thing and the only logical step you can do is double down on skills and make yourself more valuable. Now understand that learning will never hurt you. All right, it is always additive, and even in things that are bad. And listen, I paid for all that stuff that I just said, and not all of it was good. The thing is that I believe that winners win no matter what. And so how can you have something that is bad and then you think that you get better from it? Well, if I learn all the things not to do, then I learned. And if it changes my behavior in a way that makes me more likely to succeed, then I got better. And so if you look at the world that way, then everything serves you rather than you serving it. And so I will give you a basic analogy from a skills perspective, from a stacking angle. I like this example because a lot of people know who he is. So Jay-Z is a rapper, right? And now he is a businessman. I mean, a businessman, well, if anyways, in the beginning, maybe he had rhythm, right? Maybe that is what he was naturally born with or inclined with, right? And then he learned how to rap, and then he learned how to write lyrics, and then he learned how to market, or rather he probably learned how to sell first, and then he learned how to market. And with each of these, he became more and more successful, and then he learned how to get other artists and market them. So he learned how to make a label, and then he learned how to get Beyonce. Okay, but you can see here how with each of these skills, that person who has all of these skills, somebody who just has rhythm, not that valuable, somebody who can just rap, a little bit more valuable than somebody who has rhythm, somebody who can rap and write lyrics, more valuable, somebody who can do that and then they can sell their way into. Getting shows, they can sell people on the street. All of a sudden, they can sell their CDs. And so he has this, which makes all of these other things more valuable. And then he learned how to promote, which made all of these other skills more valuable because now he is not just selling out one or two, small venues. He can promote and go national. But then there is still a limit to the amount that he can do here. So that is when he starts recruiting other people to his labels, to his brands. And this is what continues to stack skills. I will give you a financial example of this. Maybe in the beginning, you are somebody who is really good at math, okay? Being good at math is not that valuable of a skill. Then all of a sudden, you are like, okay, well, I will learn how to do bookkeeping. All right, well, that is more valuable than just math, but you need math in order to have bookkeeping. And then you learn how accounting works. Okay, and then you learn how taxes work, and all of a sudden, you can start saving a business money. Now, do you need to know math in order to do taxes? Yes. Do you know how to understand how accounting works in order to do taxes? Yes, right? All of these things stack. Now, let us say that you start learning about insurance and then you start learning about mergers and acquisitions, right? All of these things, you still need to know math, but these, when taken together, become significantly more valuable as a person. Think about your second grade math teacher as an idiot. As soon as you learn calculus, you needed arithmetic in order to learn calculus. And so wherever you are at in this journey right now, it is not like, oh my God, why cannot I do this? It is like you still have to move through the steps. Now, how fast you do that depends on how quickly you change your behavior. And so hopefully, this video at least nudges you in that direction to start changing what you do. So the fourth example of kind of building capacity before you know what to do is to build an audience without a product, right? So what does that mean? So you do not need a product to start. You need attention because attention gives you leverage. And so if you have a group of people who know, like, and trust you, even when you do not have a product, you are basically building potential energy, right? If you are the #1 most followed person on the planet, the day you start whatever you start, it is going to be a smashing, probably $100 million success. Literally, if you were the most well-known person on the planet and you charged any amount of money for anything, you could then you would pretty much be set for life. All right, and so from the building of an audience is you just talk about the things that you are doing, because right now you are like, well, I do not have any proof. Of course, you do not have proof. You have not done anything yet. But what you can do is do work and document the work you do. And so what you want to do is, like, either you have epic proof or epic effort in the fitness world. There are people who are like, okay, I am 6 months out from my first fitness competition. It does not matter where you start. If you do something epic, document all the volume of work you do along the way and people will follow you. Now, a version of this, like the next step here, would be build a wait list. So this is kind of step 5. So in other words, before you build the thing, build the list of people who want the thing. So a person who pays with their time now is more likely to pay with their money later. And this is what an audience does. You provide value to them with your time. They pay back with their time. They say they are willing to wait for the thing. All of these things are indicators that they are likely or more likely to make a purchase with you. So number 6 is you can build capacity by building your network potential by meeting people. So think about 2 people, one person who stays in and watches Netflix, or somebody who goes out to a coffee shop, or someone who goes to the gym. In either of those scenarios, your luck surface area expands. You are more likely for sure in each of those scenarios. And if you do this every single day, you continue to expand that luck exposure. And so if you want it to be successful in something, in anything, spend time with the people who are already doing it. Because the fastest way to change your life is to change the people who are around you who affect your life. And so being willing to move to where the opportunity is one of the biggest kind of hacks out there. I think people talked about this in a video, but like if you want to be in finance, you got to be in New York, right? If you want to be in film, it is like you probably got to be in Hollywood. If you want to be in politics, you got to be in DC. Now, if you do not want to be in those kind of like more traditional paths, there is a lot more places that you could be. But the idea is like there are hubs. And if you want to get into a space, the best way to do it is get to the hub. And so if you are not sure what to do right now, you should know exactly what to do, which is that you build capacity and you wait for the pitches that you can swing at to come. And so maybe you are getting ball after ball after ball, but what do you do to make sure that when the fat pitch comes, you are ready? It is like you practice your swing. You start doing your sprints so that like you can actually get around the bases faster, right? You start working on coordination drills. You start working on your hip and your power. You start going to the gym, right? All of these things will be things that when that pitch comes, you will maximize the likelihood that you smash it out of the park. But so many of you are waiting for this fat pitch to then begin and getting lapped by people who already were prepared. And so the key word here in order to build capacity, you build by preparing. To really push through when everything feels uncertain requires a shift in how you view daily progress. Most people think that preparation is boring because they cannot see the immediate payout of their efforts. They look at their bank account or their follower count and see no change, so they quit. But true progress is often invisible until it becomes massive. Think of it like heating a block of ice from 25 degrees to 31 degrees. You are putting in energy, you are doing the work, you are changing the environment, but nothing visibly changes until you hit 32 degrees, and it begins to melt. That is exactly how saving your money and stacking your skills works. You are quietly turning up the heat on your capabilities, even when nobody else notices. When you choose to skip the expensive dinners and save that extra $50 a week, you are not just accumulating cash, you are building a mental habit of delayed gratification that will serve you when managing millions when you spend your weekends learning a new piece of software or studying marketing instead of hanging out at parties. You are installing assets into your brain that no one can ever take away from you. The market might fluctuate, currencies might lose value, but your ability to solve high-value problems will always remain in high demand. The real shift happens when you stop looking for permission from the world to start your journey. You do not need an official job title to start thinking like an executive. And you do not need a massive business loan to start behaving like an investor. You start where you are with what you have by making the absolute most of every single hour and every single dollar. Look around your current life and audit where your leaks are happening. Are you leaking time on social media apps that do not bring you any closer to your goals? Are you leaking money on small, daily conveniences that add up to thousands of dollars over the course of a year? Identify those leaks and plug them immediately. Every dollar you save and every hour you reclaim is an added unit of capacity. And remember that the goal is not to stay in survival mode forever. The strict budgeting, the long hours of studying, the isolation from negative influences, these are temporary seasons designed to build a launch pad. You are building the foundation of a structure that is meant to rise high above the average line. Once you have the foundation secure, you can start looking outward to scale your impact. You start reaching out to mentors, you start sharing your journey online, and you start putting yourself in environments where high-level decisions are being made. Do not let fear of failure stop you from doing the boring work today. The only real failure is being caught completely unprepared when your life-defining opportunity finally presents itself. So take a deep breath, map out your plan, cut out the noise, and focus entirely on execution. Your future self is depending on the capacity you choose to build this very week. Keep pushing, keep investing in yourself, and stay disciplined because your time to swing is coming sooner than you think.